Aloha, namaste, y bienvenidos a todos. My name is Desi Bartlet, and I recently wrote a book with two amazing co-authors called Total Body Beautiful. You can find complete yoga practices, Pilates practices, and workouts in there. And today I'd like to share one of the yoga practices with you called Let That Stuff Go. So we're going to begin in what's called easy pose, or in Sanskrit it's called Sukhasana. Sukha is ease. We're inviting a sense of ease into the body, the mind, and the heart. So please cross your legs in whatever way feels good to you. You can sit up really tall through the spine. I like to close my eyes in the very beginning of any practice and bring the hands together in the shape of a flame at the heart space. So the reason that we leave space between the palms and create this flame-like shape is because it's a metaphor for the light within, the light that guides us on our path. I'd like to invite you to slow your breath down. And as you slow your breath down, slow your thoughts down. And this is a good opportunity to set a clear intention for your practice. And again, collectively, we're working with the theme of letting go. What is it that you're ready to let go of today? Good. And then when you're ready, you can simply flutter your eyes open, release your hands, and we'll come into child's pose. So you're going to separate your knees just a little bit wider than your hips. Bring your heels towards one another and allow your hips to come back to your heels. You can choose where the arms are for this. They can reach forward, they can reach back. Totally up to you. And we're here for about 5 deep breaths. So we're continuing to grow the feeling of ease in the body and the mind. Can you easily allow the weight of your hips to sit onto your heels so that there's more length through the lower back? Now, this is an area that we tend to hold on to a lot of tension, a lot of stress. So simply imagine that each breath carries away a little bit of resistance. Imagine that the muscles are softening into the shape. And that again, you're letting go of what you no longer need. So if the lower back or the middle back muscles have been holding on to any kind of tension that no longer serves, you're simply allowing that to melt away. Good. From here, you can reach your arms forward once again and shift forward towards the hands and knees. And if you feel a little blissed out, it just means you're doing it right. I'm going to ask you to sit down. You can come back to Sukhasana. Bring one foot across for a simple seated twist. So there's 2 ways of doing this, and I'd like to leave it up to you how you practice this. You can simply twist like so. So my legs are crossed. I have one leg on top, and I'm turning towards the top leg. Another way of doing this, if you prefer, if you want to go a little deeper, is to place that top foot onto the earth. This will give you more of a stretch through the outer hip and the glute. So you know your body, you know what feels good. If you've been working out a lot, I like this shape a little more. If you need to take it easy, then allow that knee to open more. So what I like to do here is really find the rotation through the waist, through the obliques, through the spine. And then once you've gone as far as is comfortable, then allow your face to gently look forward and down. So it's like the gaze is just kind of almost draping over the front shoulder. You have one more deep breath. And we'll simply change sides. So you can just switch legs if you want kind of a fun, fancy way to switch sides. Top foot steps down and you spin. And voila, you're on the other side. Just kind of fun, something to play with. So it's up to you. Do you want to cross that leg on top? Do you want to put the foot down? The only thing I ask there is that you try to create the same shape that you did on the first side so that we maintain balance in the body. You can turn, 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 find the rotation. And one side is always a little bit different from the other. The two sides of the body are like sisters, but they're not twins. And then when you're ready, the gaze, gently looking over that front shoulder. So in the practice of yoga, twists are all about letting go, detoxifying. And it's literally like you're wringing out, like a dirty dish rag. You're wringing out what the body no longer needs. You have 2 more deep breaths. What is it that you're letting go of? What is it that you're making space for? And from here, we'll make our way into downward facing dog. So I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see what I'm doing. Come onto all fours. Your hands will be shoulder width apart. Your knees are hips width apart. I like to inhale and look up once before I go to down dog. Then tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. And it's simply an easier transition for the spine. Let your heels be drawn by gravity down towards the floor. If they touch, great. If they don't touch, it's okay. We're just moving in that direction. Can you put a little bit more strength into your palms so that you can lengthen and push back? Now, as a yoga teacher, I would come behind you and gently pull your hips back. See if you can give yourself that adjustment from the inside out. We're here for 2 more deep breaths. Just imagine a waterfall washing down the length of your spine, carrying away any stress. You can always exhale through the mouth. And then let's come back to your hands and knees. You're going to crisscross your feet behind you and bring your legs in front of you. Okay, I'm going to turn to face you so that you can see what I'm doing. The arms will lift. You'll exhale and fold forward. So I know there's no in between here. If you're tight, this is fantastic. Hang out here. Feel the sternum reaching forward. If you're very bendy, feel free to fold in. But it isn't about how far you move into a stretch. Yoga is about how present you can stay in each given moment. And each moment is its own experience. There's a beautiful teacher online that I follow, a spiritual guide named Muji, And he talks about the freshness of now. Each moment is a fresh moment. Each moment is an opportunity to begin again. Notice if your head and neck are kind of hanging on. Maybe let them go. One more deep breath. Good, and you can begin to sit up. Nice work. So I'd like to give you two options. For those of you who need a shorter practice this morning, if you're headed to work or to school, you can complete the practice right here. If you have more time and you want to continue on and let more stuff go, then please stand up and we'll move into half sun salutation. Let's come to standing. You're going to have your feet hips distance apart, and we're moving into Ardha Surya Namaskar, which means half sun salutation. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see what I'm doing. The hands come to Namaste, and there's a sense of grounding and strength through the lower body. Bring your arms all the way up to the sky. Inhale, you can take a little back bend there. Exhale, forward fold. Now it's up to you. Hands can come to the outer shins, or if you're pretty flexible, maybe they come to the floor. But really enjoy the stretch through the hamstring and the lower back. Let's inhale, come up halfway, lengthening your spine, and feel the crown of your head reaching forward as the tailbone reaches back. Exhale, fold in once again, releasing the head and neck. Remember, totally fine to have your hands on those outer shins. And now put a little bend in your knees and come all the way up, circling the arms, reaching up, uniting the palms, exhaling, hands come to Namaste. Now from here, please bring your feet a little wider. I'll turn to face you. And tiptoes can turn in slightly if you're really tight in your hamstrings. If that's not an issue for you, let your feet point straight ahead. Inhale, arms reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. You can bring your hands, elbows, whatever comes onto the floor easily, let it come on down. And feel the outer arches of your feet pressing down into the floor. You're here for 3 deep breaths. One more. And now to come out, put a little bend in your knees, push into your feet, come all the way up, unite the palms, hands to the heart, step or jump your feet together. And we'll make our way down to seated. And now let's make our way back down onto the floor, and we'll come into what's called a 90-90 stretch. So come on down, have a seat. You're going to bring your right lower leg in front at a 90-degree angle. And then the back leg bends into a 90-degree angle as well, thus the name 90-90. You're going to turn your torso towards the front lower leg. The hands will frame the leg. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale and fold. And again, there's sort of no in between. Either this is going to be just fine, or your body's going to want to really fold into the shape, maybe even coming on to your hands. Okay. So when we are in fight or flight and we have that big cortisol release and we're stressed out, whether you're stuck in traffic or facing a difficult situation, the muscles that tense up are the hip flexors, the psoas muscles. And the reason for this is because the body's trying to decide, am I going to run the heck out of here or am I going to stay and fight? And so what happens is these muscles hold on to the tension after we've had that episode. So how do we let go of that tension so we don't have to walk around with it every day? This is how, the 90-90. So just kind of notice, does anything come up? Any feelings, any memories, any images? Let them process through. So we're not trying to ignore, run away, or bypass the work. We sit with it, we look at it, we realize it's in the past. We come back to the freshness of now, and we release it from the body. And of course, whatever we do on one side, we want to practice on the other side. So you can come on up and simply switch sides. I like to just bring my feet in front and swivel. 90, 90. Turn towards the leg. Inhale, exhale, and fold. So here's our options. Hands. Let me back up a little. Hands, forearms, forehead. Up to you. So this is a hip opener, which is in the same family of postures as pigeon. Pigeon, we extend the back leg. And I bring that up because each family of poses has a particular effect on the body. Again, hip openers help us to release tension in the psoas and to kind of bring that nervous system back to a place of peace. So if fight or flight is at one end of the spectrum, the other end of the spectrum is relax and restore. And that's where we're headed, right here, right now. Relaxing and restoring. So when we're really, really stressed out, I know we're not necessarily talking about weight loss or fertility, but when we run a lot of cortisol through our bodies, it's hard to lose weight. It's hard to get pregnant. It's hard to create new experiences because the body is stuck in this mode of fighting, fighting, fighting. So whatever it is that you would like to create that's new, perhaps it's a project or idea, let's make some space for it. And let the breath become like a salve for the nervous system. Good. And from here, we'll gently come up and we'll move back to our simple seated twist. We did this in the very beginning. This time it'll be just a little bit quicker. And this is a release after the hip opener. And we'll switch. So after you've had that big, deep hip opener, just kind of letting it go. And when we've got a quicker, gentle twist like this, I think of it almost like a palate cleanser when you go to like a fancy dinner and they give you the little sorbet in between. Just kind of brings everything back to balance, a place of neutrality, so that the next pose feels like a new experience. And from here, we move to Ustrasana, camel pose. Your knees are about hips width apart. You come up tall on your knees, and you can bring your hands to your lower back with the fingertips pointed up. Draw your shoulder blades back, down, and together. Lift the heart, and lift, lift, lift. So it's like a fountain of energy. And if you're really bendy, bring your hands to your heels. Stretch through the abdomen, stretch through the chest. You might even want to just stretch through the mouth. Some folks practice on the top arches of the feet like I am. Others with the toes tucked. They're both correct. Just notice what feels good. Two more deep breaths. And let's sit up. Bring the hands to the heart. Have a seat. And you can lay down. Okay. Feet are together, knees are open, arms are outstretched. Supta Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. Notice the feeling of transformation in the body, the mind, and the heart. So this practice is focused on letting go. Just like the caterpillar lets go of one shape, one way of being, to become the butterfly, you have that opportunity right here, right now, to let go. And it's totally up to you. You can conclude your practice in this shape if it feels really nice. You can straighten the legs into Shavasana if you prefer. If you're moving into Shavasana, spread your arms and legs out. Palms face the sky. Eyes are gently closed. And Shava means corpse. And the first time that I heard the translation for this pose, I thought it was a little odd. Corpse pose. But then I realized that it's about transformation. The death of one way of being to then move into a new way of expressing yourself. And because this is a virtual practice, because this practice can be enjoyed anywhere at any time, it's totally up to you how long you'd like to stay in your Shavasana. You can stay here for 2 to 3 more breaths, 2 to 3 more minutes, whatever feels right. And when you're ready to release it, you can wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, roll onto your side. And easily press yourself up to seated. And we conclude our practice in the same shape in which we began, Sukhasana, easy pose. Hands come to the heart, bowing the head. The divine light in me recognizes and bows to the divine light in you. Thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for doing the deep work of letting go and creating space for the new. Namaste.